1. My fiancé and I had the opportunity to pick up and move across the country with a GM that I had worked with at 3 other properties prior to this one. My GM and I had a mentorship relationship, so every time he would get with a new company, he would bring me with. I worked with him all the way from Florida to Indiana to New Mexico. The New Mexico property was quite an interesting one to say the least. I had accepted the AGM role while my fiancé accepted a position in laundry. When we first got to the hotel, things were great. I was enjoying my staff and the clients we would get at this property, and it was pretty quick turnaround with being by an airport. But the beginning of my time there wasn't why I'm writing to you all. I'm writing to you about the downhill and why I'm no longer there. So, about 5 months into the position is when the red flags began to appear. We had a guest report their car stolen from the parking garage one night, which was unusual given we had a gated garage that you need a key card to access. My GM refused to go through the footage and told the guest to have the police come in for it due to privacy concerns. My GM also told me that I needed to email the guest and explain that there are signs in the garage stating that we are not liable for damages or theft. But that's where it just starts. Literally 20 minutes after I got done emailing the guest, I went upstairs to inspect rooms for housekeeping. One of the vacant dirty rooms were suddenly latched from the inside. My fob wouldn't open the door and it was deadbolted. And the housekeeper was downstairs grabbing a duvet. She came back upstairs while I was outside the room, and I had thought she was in the room using the bathroom or something, but no. She had no idea anyone was in the room. I could hear movement in the room. I knew someone was in there, so I knocked and told them that we needed to know who was in the room. At first, we were thinking it was a guest checked in to a not-ready room. But that wasn't the case. Suddenly the door opens, and the guy looks at me and asks why I'm bothering him, and starts to raise his voice and get pissed. I explained to him that there wasn't anyone checked into the room and housekeeping wasn't finished with the room. I could see around the door, and the bed is literally stripped down to the mattress pad. He started listing off a bunch of random names of people who were working at the desk that checked him in, but none of the names matched any of our staff. I start thinking he's at the wrong hotel, and he insists he's with us. I step down the hallway at this point, and called the police for some help resolving the issue. The dude heard me call the police, and he flipped. He came out of the room and ran at me down the hallway with a car battery in his hand. He stopped me at the stairwell and handed me the car battery, then said it was super important, and he just ran out of the hotel, out of the stairs. Like, what? Why did you just hand me a car battery? Fast forward to when the police got to the hotel. They walked through the room and found needle caps and a second car battery. I've given the police the first one, but they wouldn't take it, and told us to just dispose of it however we needed to. And they left the other one in the room. The police weren't any help. Everything got quiet for a couple of days until this guy made another appearance. Our hotel was set up with the back hallway going straight to the dumpster area, and my office was in that hallway. The dumpster door never liked to latch, and would get stuck open from time to time. This guy walked through the dumpster door right past my office door with a bunch of our Cisco boxes in his hand. I got up and followed him and asked what he was doing, and he said he was dropping off a delivery. I told him when dropping off packages you use the lobby doors, and then asked him for the boxes back because I knew he had just picked them up from the back half. This is the point that he tells me that the packages aren't for me but for someone else. I just told him that I was calling the police again, and he left with our boxes. He took all of our gloves for the restaurant. When I went back home that night, I saw this guy sitting on the curb at the gas station 3 blocks down the road, with the boxes sitting right next to him. I pulled by and yelled out my window that the police were coming, and I told them where he was at the gas station. I didn't actually call the cops again, because there had been no help the entire time. I just wanted to scare him a little, but this backfired. I got back to the hotel the next day for my shift, and all was fine until it was time to go home. Somehow this guy had gotten into our parking garage and left a smaller car battery, maybe a moped one, sitting beside my car. I was sketched out because when I saw the battery, I knew exactly who had put it there. I got in my car and just left it on the ground. I didn't want to touch it, but when I was pulling out, this battery guy ran out from behind another car right in front of mine, and I had to stop. He started screaming that the next time he saw me, he was gonna throw battery acid in my face. That was the point I was done. I just pulled off and went home and called in yet another police report, and yet again, they did nothing. This guy would always disappear before they would get there. Always. I swear he knew his way around the property more than I did with how sneaky he was. There was no record of him ever being a guest either. But I'm sure it was a fake name he gave us during the first incident. The next day I went in and packed up my office and just left and moved back home to Indiana. New Mexico is a crazy place. 2. So, 2 old couples come in, I greeted them and asked if they have a reservation. They said no and are looking for a room. They said that it was for one night, but they might extend tomorrow if something happens to their schedule. I was fine with it since we do have those guests who will extend their stay another day, so I told them the rate, which was $129 before tax, and asked if they have the usual AAA, AARP membership. The guy said, "Oh, but it's different from the rate online. It says that it's $97, also before tax." I already had the vibe that this guy's a cheapskate, but I just let it be, so I asked if they could show me where they found the rate. They showed me a Google search of the hotels in the area with the filter showing lowest to highest rate, red flag. It was a red flag when he showed me his phone, and that he found a different, cheaper rate online. It's just something that tells me that this guy might and will try to lower the rate to a rate that he prefers. Maybe his front desk intuition or something. But I've had guests that will haggle with me or my coworkers to lower the price for them. I told them that's not actually our property, but it's a different hotel. It's not far from here, actually. I pointed at their screen, and I also gave them directions if they wanted to go there instead. Then the guy said, "Why are you shooing us away? You're potential customers. Can't you just price match here?" As he was shoving the phone to the plastic divider as if that could make the rate go lower. In my mind, the rate isn't like that because the system generated it out of thin air. The rate is like that because you're not paying only for the room, but for a lot of things. It pays for the hotel's amenities, bathroom amenities, the free teas or coffees in the room, complimentary breakfast and Wi-Fi. Our services, the housekeeper who's going to clean the room after you check out, and taxis too. And I wasn't shooing away potential customers. I was giving you directions to the hotel with the price that you wanted. Since that was what you were looking for, not this hotel. Our hotel doesn't price match, but to those who work at hotels that do, well, kudos to you guys. It must be a pain to deal with these kind of people. In real life, I told him, "I'm sorry, sir, but our property doesn't price match. I only thought that since you were looking for that hotel, that you might want to know the directions. I didn't mean to shoo you. I apologize if I might have offended you." He was still grouchy, and I didn't give him the price that he wanted since he was mumbling something I didn't understand. He asked about the rate for AAA, and I told him, which is 5% less, and he shouted, "Well, that doesn't change a thing. It's just $5 less. This is a sham, and I will never stay here. You just lost yourself a potential customers." He left with his wife trailing behind him, not saying anything during my conversation with her husband. In my mind, well, good, at least I won't be seeing you then. I don't know if this is rude or if I'm just stupid for doing it. As they were passing the second door, I said, "Have a good night." I don't know if the husband heard me, but the wife did turn around to look at me. 3. So it was Valentine's Day weekend, and the city where my hotel is, as well as the next city over, has multiple tournaments going on. I am the GM of a small hotel near the southern House of Mouse. Once again, the owner has gone out of town, leaving me and the other front desk agent as the only people here. I have been sold out every single night this week. That is your context, and here is my tale. I arrive at 1 p.m. on Saturday to start my shift. I do not get off until sometime after 3 p.m. on Sunday. As I enter the lobby and I go to clock in, I see a car pull up and let someone out, with apparently everything they own. I clock in and go to the front desk. Crazy man walks in. "Hello, sir. How can I help you today?"
Yes, I have a reservation for today.
Okay, I can verify that for you. What's your name?
Crazy man.
Okay, I do see your reservation. Unfortunately, normal check-in time is 3 p.m., and I was sold out last night, so I don't think I have a room ready yet.
I stay at hotels all the time, and I can usually get in a little early. It's crazy, man. Are you sure you don't have anything?
I feel bad for the guy because he has a ton of stuff and an apparent toothache, as he's asking me about using tea bags to relieve such an ache. Give me a few minutes and let me see what I can do. I walk around the hotel and talk to the housekeeper on duty, the only one I have, because who doesn't need help these days? She hasn't even gotten close to the room the crazy man is supposed to go into, but she has finished some. I get a list and head back to the lobby. Okay, your room isn't ready, but let me see if I can't move some people around and get you into a room. There are multiple tournaments going on, and it's Valentine's Day weekend, so I can't promise anything.
Yeah, you can do what you can do. It would be crazy, man, if you can't get me in early.
Alright, I got you set. I see you're staying on rewards, however I do need a credit card on file just for damages.
I never heard of that before. That's crazy, man.
Each hotel is different. If you don't smoke in the room or throw a TV through the window, you'll be alright.
Alright, here's my card, but that's crazy, man. I've never done that before.
Roughly 2 hours later, a crazy man is back in the lobby. He's looking for change for our soda machine that isn't currently accepting dollar bills. And did you know that it's crazy man that a machine is busted? Another 2 hours and he's up front getting change for the pizza delivery guy. And did you know that it's crazy man that it's going to take 45 minutes for his pizza to be delivered? Finally, just after midnight, my last arrival shows up. I shut the lobby lights off and lock the door, and head to the room that I have blocked for me to grab a few hours sleep before I have to be back at 6. Of course, I have random people who will ring the doorbell asking for a room, disregarding the 4 signs that say I'm sold out, and therefore I get broken sleep at best. At 4:45 a.m. the doorbell rings, and it is Crazy Man. I answer via the doorbell connection.
Yeah, I stepped out of my room for just a second and forgot my key, and now I'm locked out.
Okay, give me 2 minutes, I'll be right there. I get there and make him a key and hand it over.
I've never been to a hotel that doesn't have someone in the lobby at all times. That's...
Crazy man? Yeah, I know, we do things different. Have a good rest of the night. And with that, it's now time to run audit, and there is no point in me trying to go back to sleep. Checkout is at 11. It's 10 a.m. Crazy man walks into the lobby.
Where's breakfast?
I currently do not have a breakfast. We have coffee available right here, though.
No breakfast? That's crazy, man. I'm trying to extend my stay, but I don't have any more points. What is your rate?
For tonight, it's $100.
I saw that online. Why is it so high?
There are multiple things going on locally, and I'm almost out of rooms. I told you that yesterday when you asked for an early check-in.
The hotel 30 miles and 5 cities away is cheaper. You should match them.
I'm a better hotel than they are, and I'm currently busy.
That's crazy, man. You need to lower your rate.
That's the lowest rate I have, using the AAA discount that I will give you regardless of if you have it.
No, that's too much. If you want to lower your rate, I'm going to need a late checkout. I should be out around 2 p.m.
I can't offer you that late. The owner doesn't want any late checkouts, and I'm busy, as I've stated.
That's crazy, man. Why are you busy? Every other hotel gives me a late checkout.
At this point, I'm done with Crazy Man. I've had very little sleep, and my wife called me earlier to let me know I have a plumbing issue going on at home that requires my family to go elsewhere. Yay. Checkout is at 11. If you have not remitted payment to extend your stay by that time, you must vacate the room. I don't care if you want to bring your stuff to the lobby while you wait for a ride, but you have to be out of that room.
So not even 5 minutes, that's...
I get it. That's Crazy Man. But that's how it's going to be. He was out of the room by 5 minutes after checkout time and told me that he would never stay here again. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to hear that. Can't wait until my front desk person arrives so I can get a little sleep. 4. During one of my shifts at a popular hotel chain, I was helping the owner of the hotel put some supplies away that the hotel needed for breakfast. I was putting oatmeal packets away in the cabinets of the kitchen and making sure everything was neatly stacked. The owner had wandered off back into the lobby, so I finished putting away the supplies and made it to the front desk. The wife of the owner and his little girl began talking to me as I sat down, just talking about random stuff and the hotel, and we were making conversation. The owner was at his truck that was parked in the entrance looking to see if there was any more supplies that we had missed. While chatting with his wife, all of a sudden, we heard a loud kaboom. We all got startled and I was confused as to where a large kaboom sound came from. It was accompanied by the sound you hear when fireworks fizzle down to the ground after being lit and thrown into the sky. So I asked myself, did someone just light off a firework just really close? The hotel was near a neighborhood, literally right across the street from one. So maybe someone was playing with fireworks. Or maybe there was thunder. I wasn't sure, so I went outside to investigate with the owner's wife and his kid. The owner looked at me and said he just saw a transformer blow out. I looked inside the hotel and it was pitch black. The lights had gone out in the entire lobby. The only thing that illuminated the lobby was the fact that it was still daylight outside, so the lighting helped me to see inside the lobby. The owner told me to call my manager D to get down here so he can call the electric company to see when the power could be turned back on. I'm not sure why he couldn't do it himself, but I obliged and called my manager, who laughed at the fact that the owner didn't do it himself, but he too obliged and told me he'd be there in 5 minutes since he lived up the road from the hotel. The owner, his wife, and his kid went on their merry way and left the hotel. I was stuck by myself waiting for my manager to show up. Luckily no guests had come down to complain yet, but the computers, the front desk phone, and the other landline phone and the fridge for the snack shop were all out. Nothing was working, so I knew this was going to be a long shift. I knew it was going to be an even longer shift when I heard a bigger kaboom, and that meant another transformer just blew. My manager arrived and tried to check to see if anything in the hotel was working at all. The fuse box wasn't working to turn anything back on, half of the emergency lights weren't working, and it was getting darker by the minute. The backup generators refused to work to power anything besides the emergency lighting. He called the electric company, who said it might be hours before they could get the power back on, which means we were stuck in darkness for a long time. Sooner or later, the dreaded part of this whole experience decided to happen. Guests were beginning to arrive to check into the rooms. We couldn't even program a key, let alone check them into the rooms. Luckily, we had keys we made in advance for the guests that we did have, but we couldn't check them in electronically to their rooms. The elevators didn't work either, so guests who were coming in and trying to check in, they had to use their back stairwells to get access to the rooms, which didn't go over well for some people, but this was a situation we couldn't control. We allowed the guests to sign the forms that they needed to sign for their rooms and gave them the keys. My manager said we just keep track of those who have checked in with the forms they sign, and we'll electronically check them in when the power gets back on. So we did. Some guests, though, who were beginning to check in were not pleased with the situation and asked for a refund for the room and left, which my manager just said they'd get a 10% or so discount off the price they paid because this wasn't a situation that happened because of us. Guests who came in to get a room for the night were denied because we couldn't make new reservations for them whatsoever, so we had a lot of unhappy guests that night that needed a room. We had a ton of guests coming down and complaining about the fact that the power was still out 3 hours later and nothing was being done about it. My manager had to explain to them that this wasn't due to us, the whole neighborhood surrounding the hotel was without power too, and it was up to the electric company to send someone down to fix the power situation. We had so many guests that night asking for refunds or discounts to the room, which some were just happy with the discount, some were mad that we couldn't offer a complete refund. But we couldn't do anything about it. Some guests were complaining that they couldn't use the stairs because of their medical issues, To which the only thing I could do was apologize, because I couldn't do anything to fix the elevators. Eventually, guests were complaining that they couldn't use the stairs because the emergency lights were off now inside the stairwells, which we couldn't do anything about, so we recommended they use the flashlight on their phones. Some people couldn't, so I had to usher people to their rooms with the use of my flashlight, and I also had to direct people to the stairwells my entire shift with the use of my flashlight. Eventually, after hours and hours of guests complaining and demanding refunds and me having to usher people to the stairwells, the power finally came back on at 10 p.m. at night, an hour before my shift was supposed to end. Luckily, my coworker didn't have to spend her night audit shift in complete darkness, so it was a win for her. My manager was finally able to go home, and same with me. And after that, we got a crap ton of negative reviews because of the event, but like I said, it was a situation we couldn't control. This happened a while ago, and I've since found a new job, but I figured I'd share this story, especially since it's so confusing to me, that the owner just sped off with his family to leave an associate and a manager to deal with the situation instead of himself. 5. I work at an all-suites limited service property set up for extended stay. If it happens after hours, it is up to the desk to handle it. This takes place between my property and the sister property, a hotel that shares a parking lot but is much more transient and is mainly standard rooms, of the same brand and franchise owner. Let's call it H2. 110 rooms at my hotel, 127 at H2. I get to work at 3, working till 11 as usual, and notice we have a large 20-plus rooms wedding checking in that afternoon. I speak with sales, and learn that they have booked our large conference room, 40 people, for the night. Sales informs me they have been making odd requests before arrival, so I steel myself for the usual entitled suburbanites. I check in a couple of wedding rooms and notice they're bringing in supplies to decorate the conference room for their rehearsal dinner. Fine. This is nothing strange. What is strange is that they brought in a luggage cart with 4 60-gallon igloo coolers. The cart seemed very heavy, so they were full. Sales steps out of the office, and after a quiet, "Oh, hell no," she informs me that she needs to speak with the bride's mother. Sales has a come-to-Jesus meeting with the entitled bitch about what is allowed in the contract and what is not. At this point, I recognize decor around the lobby and lounge for the wedding. Sales wraps up, and I get a chance to speak with her. "They're decorating the lobby, that's not allowed, is it?" "No, they also decorated the patio, connected to the conference room. And I told them that's a public space, they can't do that. Also, they wanted add-ons today that they denied when negotiating the contract. RAV requires a tech to set it up, and they wanted to play Guitar Hero. They also brought in some big coolers. What are those?" "They brought alcohol. They signed a waiver as per the contract, but it's an early 20s bride and groom, so be ready for the group to drink a lot." "Wait, if they brought their own booze, they aren't buying from our bar. Please tell me we charged them a lot for that." "Nope." "I know, but the contract was negotiated and signed before I even started. Now we have to honor it and just take the L for the bar." "Fine, whatever. Corporate wants this bar to make money, it looks like it never will. Now I have an excuse." Apparently, sales had to literally print the signed contract to show the bride's mother, where it said they only paid for the conference room. They were not allowed to take over the hotel simply because they had 40 rooms between 2 hotels. Only after making her understand, not asking, that they could not make other guests feel like our hotel was the wedding's private venue, could sales convince her to take down the decorations. But everything that should have come down came down, and peace was in the hotel again, for the time being. I continue to check in the wedding and run into a singular problem with the guests. Aside, our housekeeping is fair to middling at best. Often we are waiting until 5 p.m. for enough rooms to be ready for our arrivals. Forget about specific rooms. I have to play musical rooms at the desk more often than should be necessary. Anyways, the wedding guests all want to be on the same floor, next to each other if possible. I joke to my rather green FDA that they all want to sleep in the same bed as we're checking them in, is very much a "do we have a room ready? Yes, then that one is their room" situation. Room location is purely at the discretion of which housekeeper is moving faster. Keep in mind this is 4 p.m., an hour after check-in time. I get one guest, Dave, who wants his 2 rooms next to each other. System says 2 different floors. That's what I have to work with. So I prep damage control and my contrariest apologies to get him to accept distance versus check-in time.
I thought check-in time is 3 p.m.
Yes, sir, it is, and I have rooms ready to check you into right now. They just aren't the specific rooms you want. If you like, you're more than welcome to hang out with us in the lobby until the room number you want is ready.
How long will that be?
I call housekeeping on the radio and learn it will be a good while until the room is ready. About an hour, sir.
It's ridiculous. My cousin Uncle John Cleese is in the room next door and said the housekeeper just left that room.
I decided to take some flack for housekeeping. I know they work hard and we are a team after all. Regardless, sir, that room is not ready at the moment. I can still check you in if you like. We've already done everything necessary to get you a room immediately.
Fine, but that's not good. That's very not good.
I apologize, and he leaves irritated, but nonetheless with 2 room keys. The night goes on, and I don't have too many problems with the wedding after that interaction. I was keeping an eye on the clock with their meeting room time. At the end of their time, I went to remind them, and they were just finishing cleaning up. Overall, they didn't destroy the room. I know! Just some trash stacked next to the full trash can, which is nothing to complain about. So, ended my time, so I thought, and I could simply move on. Boy, was I wrong. 1 a.m. and 4 beers deep, my weekend night auditor calls and said she has a noise complaint about the wedding on the patio. They left the conference room and commandeered the lounge and patio for their party, and rooms directly face the patio. My night auditor was fairly green, so I tell her to inform the party that if they don't quiet down, they will be kicked out. No concessions, no wiggle room. We take noise complaints seriously, and only issue 1 warning. She has me on her Bluetooth earbuds, so I can hear that she has to shout to get them under control. They acquiesce, and the dull roar I hear over Bluetooth reduces to a quiet din. I tell my night auditor that if she gets 1 more noise complaint, kick the lot out. Wedding be damned. I continue my night, and after about an hour and 3 more beers, I get a call from the night auditor at Hotel 2. Once again, I'm on Bluetooth, so I can hear nearly everything she can hear. I'm about to call the cops on these people. I go from 0 to sober much faster than I have any right to. Aside, I worked for Hotel 2 for 10 months before moving to my hotel. I trained the Hotel 2 night auditor. She takes no prisoners and no crap, and is one of the best FDAs we had. Okay, but if you take that step, there's no going back. The only way that ends is someone in jail for the night. What's going on? They left your hotel, and I was waiting for them at the front entrance. I told them they had to go to their rooms and be quiet for the night. About 20 of them got down to the patio by going through the back door and walking around. I told them as long as they were quiet, they could stay. But as soon as I got a noise complaint, they had to break it up. I got a noise complaint and spoke with entitled bitch. But several of the group walked into the parking lot and started drinking around their cars. I've told them to disperse, they haven't. And I'm getting more noise complaints. Okay, call the cops. Tell the cops anyone not in the rooms is fair game. Tell the regular guests to go to their rooms until the cops finish. At this point, I'm interrupted by the night auditor, forcibly telling someone that they cannot do whatever they're doing, and she is calling the cops. OP, they just broke my doors. Our doors are locked at 10 p.m. for security reasons. They're gonna go. I'm not having this tonight. Apparently one of the wedding guests forced our locked front doors. These doors are not bolted, simply turned off per fire code. But if someone forces them, they have to be reset by maintenance. While she was saying this, I heard all manner of abuses being hurled at her. From names to threats, everything. She's a person of color, and these are drunk suburban white folk, so you can imagine the things said to her. She hangs up, and I get on the phone to Hotel 2's FOM, my counterpart. I talk with him about what we should do, and debate going in myself, completely unscheduled so that I can render assistant as a manager on duty. In the end, he convinced me to let our night auditors handle it, as they need to be able to function autonomously, and this should be a learning experience. The next day, I go into work, ready to spend all 8 on damage control, telling people that they will not be refunded as they violated our rules. Come to find out, one person was arrested for disorderly conduct after being hidden in the rooms of several wedding guests. After a merry goose chase, the cops ran out of patience and hauled him off to county. Ultimately, the fallout amounted to 3 rooms we had to have evicted, as they would not check out on time, and 2 bad reviews. Responding to them was a fine practice in the art of diplomacy. As I believe Winston Churchill put it,
"Diplomacy is selling someone a ticket to hell, and having them look forward to the trip."
I believe he also said,
Don't Google that quote. I probably didn't actually say that.
but he definitely did say,
Ask not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you.
don't Google that either.
Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, Confessions of a Hotel Worker, episode something or other. We will fight them on the beaches. We will kick them in the balls. We will steal their hostess snack cakes. And we should wash it down, as always, with the tears of our enemies. Thank you very much, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, then please share it around with your friends, your family, and your loved ones. Now, I have no idea what the internet is, so I don't know how that would work. However, if someone did not enjoy this video, then clearly they did not see it. I do not believe there are any birthday shoutouts today, and so with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.